To introduce the book and its math, I will use this picture of a college marching band. How does this picture relate to multiplication? Bats on Parade by Kathi Appelt, illustrated by Melissa Sweet. The grandstands were packed on that midsummer eve, wing to wing, paw to paw, beak to beak, sleeve to sleeve. Let the good times begin, the Grand Marshal cried, and a bevy of bats dropped out of the sky. There were bats from New Orleans and bats from Detroit. There were bats from El Paso and bats from West Point. They fluttered and flew down the Grand Promenade in a fabulous fanfare of bats on parade. The Bat Rangerettes did their high kick routine, and right behind them came the Bat Parade Queen. She waved to the crowd from her flowery seat, then floated along the confetti-strewn street. The whole exposition could have stopped when she passed, but oh no, the show wasn't over. The best was the last. The air fairly crackled with anticipation as the marching band made a rare visitation. The battalion was led by one drum majorette who blew her shrill whistle, and off they were set. 1 times 1 equals 1. First stepped the piccolos, piping in twos. There were 4 of those pipers with spats on their shoes. 2 times 2 equals 4. Next came the flute players, all in a line. They marched 3 by 3, which comes out to 9. 3 times 3 equals 9. 16 in regiment played clarinets. In 4 sets of 4 came those classy cadets. 4 times 4 equals 16. Up marched the saxophones, all 25. Sopranos and altos, they came 5 by 5. 5 times 5 equals 25. Bat-a-tat, bat-a-tat, boomed the wild rhythm section. What a proud 36, what a drum corps collection. Snare drums and bass drums, marimbas and cymbals. 6 sets of 6s, triangles and timbals. 6 times 6 equals 36. And right on their heels, their golden horns gleaming, 49 trumpets in 7 came streaming. 7 times 7 equals 49. Count them, 64 French horns, their brassy bells raised. By 8 they advanced down the Grand Promenade. 8 times 8 equals 64. And just when the crowd thought it couldn't get better, the trombones arrived, 81 altogether. In 9 rows of 9, those trombones reported, while there, right behind them, the tubas retorted. 9 times 9 equals 81. The crowd was bedazzled at what they saw then. 100 sousaphones marched 10 by 10. Their silvery notes tumbled into the sky. The ground fairly shook when those tubas marched by. 10 times 10 equals 100. The crowd was ecstatic. They hooted, they hopped, as the drum majorette blew the whistle to stop. Now 385 marching band bats stood at attention beneath their tall hats. They turned toward the grandstand. What flourish, what flare! Then that old stars and stripes filled the midsummer air. Their instruments gleamed in the light of the stars as that tuneful battalion played their last bars. Then 385 bats in that crew saluted the crowd as up they all flew. 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16 plus 25 plus 36 plus 49 plus 64 plus 81 plus 100 equals 385 bats. Oh, never was seen a more wonderful sight than that marching bat band on that midsummer night. The book introduced the concept of multiplication arrays because the bats marched in parade formations of different sized arrays. An array is an arrangement of objects in columns and rows. They can be used as a visual representation of multiplication. In this picture, there are 4 rows of 4 bats, which equals 16 total. This translates into the multiplication equation of 4 times 4 equals 16. In the math problems below, fill in the blanks and write an equation for each of the arrays. The active teaching strategy I used was provocative picture. This is using a picture or cartoon at the beginning of the lesson or lecture. It is used to introduce the topic and provoke discussion. The marching band in the picture can be seen as a multiplication array.